All right, next problem. A survey was conducted to determine the length of time, t in minutes, people took to drink their coffee at a cafe. The information is shown in the following grouped frequency table. So we have the intervals 0 to 5. 3 people took between 0 and 5 minutes. 5 people took between 5 and 10 minutes, and so on. Write down the total number of people surveyed. Well, that would be the adding up these numbers here. 3 plus 5 plus 12 plus 14 plus 16 plus 10. 60 people were surveyed. Write down the mid-interval value for 10 to 15. The mid-interval value is the time we assume each person in the group took. So here we have 10 to 15. We say 12 people took between 10 and 15 minutes. We don't know exactly how much time each person took, so we assume it's the middle value, the mean or median in this case, and that would be 12.5. You add these two numbers together, divide by 2. So that would be the assumed time, where we call that the mid-interval. Find an estimate of the mean time people took to drink their coffee. I'm going to go ahead and put this into a table. So I'll go ahead and hit Stats or Stat buttons, Edit. Go ahead and delete the tables I already have. And plug in my values. So I'm going to use the mid-interval value for each of these. 2.5, 7.5, 12.5, 17.5, 22.5, and 27.5. And the number of people. Now I'll do the frequency. 3 people averaged 2.5, 5 people that one, 12, 14, 16, and 10. Stats, one variable statistics. List L1, the frequency list, L2, and I'm going to calculate that. So it says find the estimate of the mean time. The mean is this x with a hat on it. So x with a hat would be 17.9. That's the mean or average. The information above has been rewritten in a cumulative frequency table. So write down the values of A and B. Cumulative frequency means, at this point, this isn't the number of people that finished 10 to 5, or 5 to 10, I guess, but it's the people who finished 10 and lower. So we have to add up these two numbers and get this. So this would be 8. This would be the 8 people that finished 10 and lower, plus the 12 that finished between 15 and 10. So this would be 20 people finished 15 and lower, etc., etc. Add 14, add 16, add 10. So this value would be 34, and this value would be 60, the total number of people. The information is shown in the following cumulative frequency graph. All right, so they show us the information already. We can double check our work. At 20, we should have 34. Let's go ahead and see if we have that. At 20, we should have 34, 30, 35, 36. Plus 14. This graph is not correct. Are the other values correct? Should be 3 for 5. 8 for 10. Yeah. 20 for 15. Right. 34 for 20. 20 is 35, 36. I don't know if IB did this to try and throw you off, to make sure you actually did the problem correctly. But this data point is not correct. The final point is correct. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and use this. For the people who are surveyed, use the graph to estimate the following things. So they're telling you very clearly, use the graph. So you need to put your information. To show your work, you need to go ahead and draw on the graph. The time taken for the first 40 people to drink their coffee. So the first 40 people, we come over here to where the graph meets 40. And we come down. We're actually in between two squares. We're in between the squares of, each of these squares is, it looks like half a minute. Be very careful. Each of these squares is half a minute. We have 10 squares between 20 and 25. So each of these squares is half a minute. So we have half a minute, 1 minute, and a quarter minute. So we actually have 21.25. The number of people who take less than 8 minutes. 8 minutes would be, this is 5, this would be 7.5, 8 would be this value right here. It'd be in between 5 and 6, so I would say 6. The number of people who take less than 8 minutes. Not 8 minutes or less than 8 minutes. I would use the smaller number then. Less than 8 minutes. Because it doesn't say equal to or less than, it says less than 8 minutes. I'm actually going to round down to 5 people. The number of people who take more than 23 minutes. All right, 23 minutes would be this value right here. Right there. We can see that we have 45 people that take less than. So in this case, 60, which is the total number of people, minus 45 would be 15 people.